The Chargers just made another move at tight end. Tyler Conklin's in the house on a one-year deal. So what's this all about? Is Conklin stepping up as the top tight end? The pass-catching guy who's going to be that extra weapon for Justin Herbert out there? Or does this shake things up for the draft? Are the Chargers still going to chase a big-time high-end tight end in this NFL draft? Man, this draft's loaded. Deep, deep, deep with tight end talent. So let's dig in, break it down, and figure out what Tyler Conklin's bringing to the table. Here we go. What's up, Chargers fans? Welcome to the NFL Playbook, Chargers. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about breaking down everything you need to know about the Bolts. So the Chargers are making these signings, and it's kind of funny how Tyler Conklin was still out there as a free agent. It's surprising to see a guy like him still available this late. The Chargers picked him up, though, got the deal done, and it's a good move. They're finding solid talent without spending a ton of money, and it's nice to see them getting some real value out of these pickups. Now, Tyler Conklin is a 6'3", 248-pound tight end who's been playing for 7 years. Last season, he had 51 catches for 449 yards and 4 touchdowns. If you check his last 4 years, you can see he's a pass catcher, someone who can help this team in the passing game. In 2021, he had 87 targets, 61 catches, 593 yards, and 3 touchdowns. In 2022, it was 87 targets, 58 catches, 552 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Then in 2023, he had 87 targets again, 61 catches, 621 yards, and no touchdowns. And last season, like I said, he had 72 targets, 51 catches, 449 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So Tyler Conklin really knows how to catch the ball. He's just a phenomenal pass catcher all around, no doubt about it. It's honestly pretty cool to see that he's been holding a 9.7 yards per catch average ever since he came into the league, which tells you he's making solid gains when he gets his hands on it. And get this, he's only missed 2 games in his entire career, which is phenomenal when you think about how long he's been playing. That durability stands out big time, and it feels like a major theme with the players the Chargers are bringing in. Guys who are tough, guys who can stay on the field week after week. It's exactly like what you see with Najee Harris, a player who's been out there grinding every single game without fail. They're clearly going after that reliability, players they can count on to suit up and be ready for the team no matter what. Now, let's talk about his drop rate for a second. Last year, he had a 1.4% drop rate. That's just 1 drop the whole season, which is crazy low. I pulled that from footballreference.com, and it's a solid stat. Then, in 2023, he had 2 drops, which is still not bad at all. Back in 2022, he had 4 drops. A little higher, but nothing wild. Right now, he's sitting at about 2 drops a season on average, and that's with a ton of targets coming his way. He's had a whole heck of a lot of passes thrown to him over the years, so keeping those drops that low shows he's a very sure-handed type of receiver who's not letting much slip through his fingers. So, once again, Tyler Conklin is a guy who's got that ability to be super reliable out there on the field. He's the kind of player you can count on, and when I think about it, he reminds me a bit of a Hunter Henry type. You know, a guy with those really sure hands that don't let you down. From what I've heard and just looking at how he plays, his catching ability is definitely a strength for him. That's what stands out the most. Now, his blocking ability, it's not exactly his strong suit, not the thing he's known for. Maybe that's something he could work on a little, something that could be coached up over time, but honestly, he's more like a Hayden Hurst type for the Chargers. He could step in and be that pass-catching tight end they need. Will Dissly, for example, got pushed into that pass-catching role last year, kind of thrown into the spotlight when he wasn't expecting it. He did a solid job, really stepped up and handled it well. No complaints there. But with Tyler Conklin, you can pretty much guarantee he's going to be a very sure-handed catcher, someone you can trust to haul it in. And here's another thing I came across, another percentage that caught my eye. He caught 4 out of 5 contested catches, which works out to 80%. That's a big deal. It shows he's one of those guys who can go up and grab it even when he's got defenders all over him. He's got that knack for contested catches all around. Plus, he's actually got the 3rd most receptions above expectation among tight ends out there. That means he's not just meeting what people think he'll do, he's over-delivering, bringing more to the table than folks expect from a guy like him. Now, it's pretty interesting when you start thinking about the whole Will Dissly situation and how it ties into this. Will Dissly stepped up big last year, had a career year, no question about it. He put up 50 catches, 481 yards, and 2 touchdowns, which is solid work for a tight end. But then you bring in a guy like Tyler Conklin, and that's where it gets fun. Conklin's coming in as this reliable tight end, a real pass-catching option for the Chargers. You look at Dissly's numbers, 50 catches, 481 yards, and yeah, he did a great job. But there were those moments, like in the playoffs, where he had a couple of big drops. Those could have swung things if they'd gone the other way, and you start wondering if a little more consistency at that spot might have helped. Now, with Conklin in the mix, you've got 2 tight ends who can hold their own. Put them together, Disley and Conklin, and you could easily see them combining for 1,000 yards. That's not a stretch when you think about what they're each capable of bringing to the table. So, what does this mean for the draft? That's the big question now. This 2025 draft is stacked with tight ends. Very, very deep talent pool. Does this signing change the Chargers' plans? They're sitting at pick 22, and you've got a guy like Colston Loveland from Michigan out there. Could he still be on the board? Do they grab him if he is? Or do they just go best player available no matter the position? Right now, the tight end room's looking decent. You've got Will Disley, who's proven he can handle a big role, and Tyler Conklin, who's a steady pass catcher. Then there's Tucker Fisk. He's more of a blocking tight end, building that part of his game for the team. And don't forget McAllen Castles, who hasn't seen the field yet. Hasn't gotten any real time, but he's still in the mix. So the tight end room's starting to fill out a bit. It's not empty by any means. Do you feel good about that group? Are you confident with what they've got? Or do you still think they'd chase a guy like Colston Loveland at 22 if he's sitting there? What about round 2? Would they look at someone like Elijah Arroyo from Miami? Or maybe Harold Fannin Jr. from Bowling Green? Or how about waiting until round 3 for a Mason Taylor from LSU? Personally, I lean toward Mason Taylor as a fit here. He's got that body type I think Jim Harbaugh would like. Big guy, around 6 feet 5 inches, roughly 250 pounds, good reliable hands, and he can block too. That's a solid frame. A big body kind of tight end who can do a little bit of everything. It feels like they might wait a little longer on the tight end spot. Now, maybe not rush to grab one early. But who knows how it'll shake out. There's a ton of flexibility in this draft for them now. With Tyler Conklin and Will Disley, they've got 2 tight ends who can catch passes, 2 very good options in that department. But do they really want that extra guy, that third tight end, who might push them toward 1,000 yards on his own? In my opinion, I don't see them getting a 1,000-yard tight end on this roster, not this year. Under Greg Roman's offense, that's not really how it works. His system isn't built for one guy to rack up 1,000 yards, even at receiver. It's rare to see that. It's more about spreading the ball around, keeping everyone involved. So now let's step back for a second and look at this from the bigger picture. If we say, all right, the tight end spot's looking pretty set now with this move, then where do the Chargers turn next? I'd say their real positions of need are probably wide receiver, running back, and then something on the defensive line. Maybe defensive end specifically, or it could even be the interior defensive line. That's going to be worth watching as they keep building this roster. Either way, it's tough to argue with what they're doing. They're filling out this team with some high-value picks, guys who can step on the field and make a difference right away. And when you zoom in on this Tyler Conklin signing, it's hard to see it as anything but a very, very solid move. They're bringing in a player who fits what they need without overpaying, and that's smart football. But here's where I want to turn it over to you. What do you think about this Tyler Conklin signing? Do you see him locking down that tight end one role for the Chargers? Or do you think they'll still go after a tight end early in the draft? Maybe grab one of those big names we've been talking about? I'd really love to hear your take on this, so drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm all ears.